Spoiler alert. The following will contain spoilers for The Mandalorian. What's up, everybody? It's me, E-Man from E-Man's Movie Reviews, and we just got Chapter 15 of The Mandalorian. And you know what? After like a number of great back-to-back episodes, I think this one kind of slowed down a little bit. Yeah, we still got the action and everything, but this one was like way more drama-filled than the other ones. And yeah, this did kind of feel like a side mission, but I don't think we could just classify this episode as a filler because we got some really important character development here. So let's go over the episode and talk about what happened. We enter into a prison yard in the Carthon chop fields. This is where Miggs Mayfeld is working on dismantling a spaceship. A droid tells him to go with Cara Dune or else. He goes with Dune only to meet up with Mando, Boba Fett, and Fennec Shan awaiting at their ship. Dune explains that they need Miggs' help because he used to be an Imperial officer, meaning that he would know the protocols and codes to aid them in finding Moff Gideon's coordinates and help them rescue the little green guy. With having little to no other options to escape his captivity, Miggs agrees to help them out. One problem, however, is that Miggs needs an Imperial terminal to get Moff Gideon's coordinates. He points them to a planet that was believed to be deserted. However, he informs them that there's an Imperial mining facility still operational there. So the crew sets off to travel to the planet Morak. Well, I gotta say, I'm just happy that Bill Burr is back. I am a fan of his. And it's so funny because I thought that what happened with him and Mando in season 1, I kind of thought that there were going to be like more trust issues. Like I thought there'd be a little bit more, vindictive, just feelings, on Miggs versus Mando. But it's kind of funny because, he's kind of looking at Mando like, whoa, hey, how you doing, Mando? A little nervous and whatnot. But given the circumstances, the fact that he has no other options, I do understand why he's, willing to cooperate and comply. Given the heavy security in the mining facility, the crew will have to go in stealthily to infiltrate the base. After debating all of the security challenges, and since no one trusts Miggs to go in alone, Mando volunteers himself to tag along with him. Problem is that he can't go in with his full armor because that would be a dead giveaway. Mando offers up the plan to ambush some stormtroopers and take their uniforms. This way, he won't have to show his face and he can still escort Miggs to the base. After changing into the stormtroopers' uniforms, Mando entrusts Dune with his armor and sets off with Miggs. While driving, they pass up a number of people in the nearby village. Miggs continues to poke fun at Mando about continuing to wear his helmet and brings up the fact that the wars fought by the Mandalorians and others don't really matter anymore. He also asks Mando, how are colonizers like the Mandalorians any different than the Empire? Mando remains silent during this conversation until Miggs brings up the point that they're both alike. Mando disagrees, but Miggs says that Mando changes the rules when he gets desperate. He continues to apply pressure on him by asking him about the choice to keep his helmet on. Is it a rule not to remove the helmet, or is it simply not to show one's face? He continues by saying that everyone has a line and that they are willing to cross them when things get bad, and that people are fine if they just make it through the day and sleep at night. There are a couple of things happening here. I think early on in this episode, you could tell that there was like some heavy foreshadowing happening, especially around the idea of Mando taking off his helmet and potentially showing his face. All these uniquely challenging security protocols about having unrecognizable faces and stuff like that. It just kind of made, basically the outcome of this episode kind of predictable. Then it got even heavier with the predictability as Miggs kept on laying it on thick, basically forcing Mando to, question a lot of the things that he believes in. I mean, don't get me wrong, these were very good questions, if you're a Mandalorian, according to the way Mando believes it, is it about never taking off the helmet? Well, he does kind of sort of take it off when he has to eat. Or is it about never showing your face? Which one is it? Now, but what I really appreciate about this scene is that this is really laying it on heavy for Mando to do some real self-reflection. I mean, I mentioned this in my previous video, in the previous episodes. Every time Mando encountered a different Mandalorian like Bo-Katan or Boba Fett, a lot of things that he believed immediately got challenged. Keep in mind that the Mandalorian creed is like a religion for him. Just like any other religion, people can experience doubts, skepticism, or just question their beliefs from time to time. In both those encounters, Mando had to question the idea of revealing his face when he saw the other Mandalorians not adhering to his specific principles. As for Miggs, everything that he said, I thought, was pretty much serving as like an external conscience from Mando's brain. He asked valid questions that Mando probably never entertained, hence his silence. The most important thing Miggs brought up was the issue of crossing a line. We've seen Mando cross his own personal line before last season where he removed his helmet, but for him it didn't really count against his religious beliefs because it was only revealed to an android. Now of course this is all set up for Mando once again on a personal level, and it's going to be up to him to decide where he's going to draw a line again moving forward. As they head to the Imperial base, explosions can be heard by other Imperial officers driving different vehicles. Turns out that there are a group of pirates attacking the vehicles and trying to blow them up. Mando exchanges fire with them and wards them off. When even more pirates begin to show up and things start to look bleak, 2 TIE fighters arrive and open fire on the remaining pirates. As Mando and Miggs make it safely back to the base, the stormtroopers advance on the pirates and have miraculously perfect aim while shooting them down. Really? Now y'all can shoot? I mean, of all the movies, of all the TV shows, now these Imperial soldiers, they got like the best aim possible? Look, I don't have an explanation for this. At this point, I'm just thinking that, you know what? All the people that are like heroes in Star Wars, they just all magically have the Force protecting them or something, because I'm baffled at how these stormtroopers and officers now have magical aim and can actually hit their targets. Inside the Imperial base, Miggs finds the terminal that they need, but he recognizes an officer named Valen Hess. Apparently, he served under Hess during a mission while he was still an Imperial officer. Out of fear of being recognized, he starts to turn away from the mission. Mando doesn't want to give up, but Miggs says that in order to access the network terminal, a facial scan is needed. Mando goes to the terminal and removes his helmet to have his face scanned. While the information is being downloaded, Hess approaches Mando to confront him. Since Mando doesn't know the protocols, Miggs comes in with the rescue to speak on his behalf. Valen Hess invites the two to come and have a drink. Well, this was a very sticky moment of tension, right? And I think the biggest thing to take away here is that Mando just created a new line for himself. With Grogu's life at stake, he decided to make the decision to basically put Grogu's life above his own Mandalorian creed. I mean, now that Mando has like shown his face, not only to the terminal, but like also to, these other officers and stuff, that's going to have to be something he's going to have to live with and contend with. I thought that moment right there was when Mando displayed his true level of commitment to his family, Grogu. And this should make sense. I mean, as a foundling, it would make sense that Mando would probably have, maybe abandonment issues or whatnot, especially after his parents died. And it probably obviously weighed heavily on him, to have a sense of family. This is probably the sentiment that made him, adhere to the Mandalorian creed even more. So I suppose in a sense, Mando values family more than just being a Mandalorian. Like, being a Mandalorian, in a sense, is a means to the end, because at the end of the day, he just values family above everything else. I know I talked about this before with some news leaking out about the actor Pedro Pascal not being very happy with always keeping the helmet on. So maybe what we're seeing now is him pushing the envelope a little bit by having his character change. Personally, I actually like, all this internal conflict and stuff because, I think it shows some growth, especially with what we're seeing from him. I mean, this is the type of character development that you want to see in characters one way or another. While sitting down for a drink, Mayfeld is having a hard time being comfortable as Hess is recounting the good old days of conquest and murder. After some passive-aggressive barbs go back and forth, Hess reminds Mayfeld that the Rhydonium they delivered will serve as an excellent asset to make the past conquests pale in comparison. That triggered Mayfeld to the point where he shoots Hess in the chest with a blaster pistol. Let me just say that this moment right here definitely impressed me, not only with Mayfeld, the character, but also with Bill Burr. I thought he did like some really solid acting here. And again, I didn't see this coming. Like the last time we saw Mayfeld in season 1, you know, he's like this hardened criminal, and, you know, like I didn't think he really cared about anybody, you know, outside of himself and maybe his immediate crew or whatnot. But now we're also seeing like the effects of being an Imperial officer, being a soldier at war, weigh heavily on him. You know, it's still obviously weighing on his conscience, and, you know, he gets, I suppose, a sense of morality where he just can't tolerate everything that Hess was talking about. I mean, as he said, he's a realist and a survivor, but now we're also seeing that he also has a heart. And like I said, I love the acting that happened here, because I think what ended up happening with his character is it showed the depth that happens when people go to war and how it can like fundamentally change you. I mean, this was a great illustration of how your perspective and your worldview can easily be changed, whether, you know, regardless of what side of the war you're on. So in this instance, Mayfeld came across basically his own line, and he stepped over it the moment he shot Hess. And this right here I thought was really good storytelling. A shootout ensues as Mayfeld and Mando have to gun their way out of the facility to get to safety. Luckily, Dune and Fennec were posted outside and provided sniper fire to cover their escape. Boba Fett came in to extract the two men from the roof of the facility, and they were able to get away safely. As they reunite, Mando and Dune playfully ignore Mayfeld as they talk about how it's such a shame that he died in battle. Catching the hint, Mayfeld makes his exit as he's gained his new freedom. Armed with Moff Gideon's coordinates, Mando and the others take off. Meanwhile, an officer tells Moff Gideon that he's got an incoming Zoom call, and Mando pops up on the screen to let him know that he's got something he wants and that Grogu means more to him than Gideon would ever know. He's coming for his family. Gideon only watches as his face becomes salty. Yo, like I said, I thought that this episode was pretty dramatic, and I thought this moment here was probably the most emotional scene for Mando. I mean, he essentially just professed his paternal love for Grogu. This entire episode, I think, was a great turning point for Mando. We now know to what depths he'll go to bring back Grogu. This probably also demonstrates just how hard it's going to be for the two of them to ever separate. I mean, I know Mando has like this mission to go give Grogu off to a species, but at this point, even if he finds them, I mean, does anyone really believe that they're going to be able to separate? And this is on both ends. I mean, right now, we're only seeing Mando's emotional attachment to Grogu, but we've also seen this from Grogu as well. He's willing to go full dark side Wayne Brady on folks and force choke people just to protect Mando. So it's going to be an emotionally hard decision for either one of them to make to actually separate from one another in any capacity. As the armorer told Mando, you two are now kin. They are a unit. So in regards to this episode, I didn't really think that it was as exciting as like the previous ones, but I do think that it served its purpose well in the sense that, you know, bringing the drama to the table. And I can appreciate that, especially since I think we all can assume that the next episode is going to be straight up bananas. So maybe this is just the calm before the storm. And if that's the case, I'm okay with that. Oh, and by the way, if you heard the Disney announcement recently, it was announced that we're getting an Ahsoka Tano show and another series called The Rangers of the New Republic. Both of these are supposedly spin-offs to The Mandalorian, and I believe they will all take place during the same time frame as The Mandalorian. Now, what's also interesting about this is the fact that they said that all three stories are going to build up to a climactic event of some sort. And I am totally down for this. And by the way, let me just say that I agree with the current theory that's being floated around in the internet lately, which is that Grogu, the reason why he's part of these experiments and stuff, he is probably the reason the Empire was able to create Emperor Snoke. I mean, we already saw the test tube and everything in the previous lab experiment episode. We know that, Snoke is a clone or, one of those experiments to help raise Palpatine. This could be his origin story. And Star Wars does have a history, especially with the series, to kind of fill in the gaps of things that the movies just didn't get right or didn't do a good job with. So I don't know, you tell me, do you agree with that theory that Grogu might be the key to bringing Snoke about? Anyway, let me know, what did you think about this episode? What are you looking forward to seeing in the next episode? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. I certainly appreciate it. If you're new here and you like what you see, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss out the next time I drop a video. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.